Hello and welcome to When Grooms Get Engaged, the podcast about a guy's perspective to wedding planning from two guys that are currently trying to survive their own. I'm Steve.
And I'm Chris. And each week we will talk about how we navigated a different part of the wedding planning journey, what we learned in the process, and what maybe we wish we had done differently. So, Steve, what are we talking about this week? And will you marry me?
Oh my God, Chris, I thought you would never ask. Oh, so we will be talking about proposals. You have just bought your ring. It's gorgeous. It's amazing. And you're not waiting the 2 to 3 months until it's ready for you to pick up. So we have plenty of time to plan a perfect proposal that encapsulates your relationship. Now, Chris, when you started planning your own proposal, and I hope you put more thought into the one you gave me right now, what were you thinking about? Like what kind of was important to you in this process?
Yeah, I think one of the first things I considered was, is it going to be a public or private proposal? And in having discussions with my partner, it became clear that while it could be done in public, she didn't want to be the center of attention in the middle of like a baseball field, right? Like doing that kind of big, grandiose kind of proposal. I think we both wanted something that was a little bit more intimate and more private. And I think that's one of the biggest things to consider when you're deciding how you should go about the proposal. How about you?
Yeah, 100%. I know it's my fiance had mentioned to me, or like I just knew that she did not like being the center of attention. She did not like being in the middle of a big crowd. So, you know, I'm sure you've seen all these like crazy intricate proposals in movies or like in stories where
No flash mob for you?
no flash mob, you're in the middle of Times Square while someone is trying to do like a Guinness World Record of beer chugging or something. And then it's like, yeah, this is the proposal spot. So no, it wasn't for us either. Uh, this is where you really need to know your partner. You really need to know what they want and what they don't want. Because the last thing you want to do is after you spent all this thought into picking out the perfect engagement ring is proposing in a way that she's not going to like.
There are no right or wrong answers when proposing, as long as you are doing something that is meaningful to both of you and that you will both enjoy and remember.
Yes, so make it memorable. Um, let's start from there. Chris, how did you make your proposal memorable? What did you think about that was important to include in it?
So, the outdoors and hiking and travel are a big part of our lives. And so I knew I wanted to try to incorporate those elements into the proposal. And after I had the ring, we had a trip planned to Asia. And I thought that would be a great place to do it. So I didn't have the exact place in mind, but I had three different places we had planned to go to that I thought would be a good time to do it. And ultimately, we were on a hike in Asia, and when we got to the summit, it just felt right, and I proposed to her at the summit of a hike with in the clouds, and it was beautiful, and that was a very special moment when reflecting on it. And thankfully, we had a couple people there to capture the moment, and so we're able to look back on that with very very fond memories. I know it was a place important to her and myself, and something that I think we'll always treasure. How about you?
So Chris, that's beautiful. That's perfect. You're playing up to what your relationship is, and what's important to you two. I know for me, I wanted to tie our engagement back to where we had our first date. Um, but I also knew that I didn't want to make it public in that area. I want us to be engaged first and then, have dinner there to celebrate. So I had planned something simple, chill, easy to do at home where I had set up some pretty lights. I have this this scrapbook where I kind of put in pictures and then just write a little note about like, we're in Miami celebrating your birthday on this day. And it had been like 6 months since I've updated that. So I went ahead and updated it with 6 months worth of events that we've done with like little notes, to the point where once you flip over the last page, I had the engagement ring embedded in the book with a note. So that when she flips it, she just sees the engagement ring and then like a little message from me, pretty much asking her to marry me. So I planned this out um, for a Saturday. So then Saturday rolls around, and before this, she's out at book club with her friends, and she manages to get last minute Taylor Swift tickets. Not sure when people are listening to this, but in 2023, getting a ticket to the Taylor Swift Eras Tour was like winning the freaking Powerball. These were $1,000 tickets. No one could get them. Sold out within milliseconds. So obviously, she didn't know she could get proposed to that day. And I couldn't take this from her. I'm like, hey, you have to go. You've been waiting for this. So that I kind of had to push all my plans back. Um, and I think this is a good lesson. Like, you can envision the greatest, most perfect thing, but life, will throw you curveballs. You need to be flexible with this. You shouldn't be too wed to your first idea. You kind of have to read the room and move with the wind when it calls for.
Yeah, I think you had a lot less stressful proposal than I did, since I was carrying our very expensive engagement ring through TSA security, carrying it throughout the different cities in Asia, and also carrying this expensive ring on a hike. So I think also where you plan on doing it, take into consideration you might be carrying around this expensive item with you, and determine what's right for your own situation.
Yeah, I know we had talks about this. So we were planning a trip to Greece in July or June, end of June, and I know my fiance had mentioned that she wanted to be engaged by then. But even before she had mentioned this, like I'm like, I want to be engaged by then. I do not want to carry this ring overseas. I do not want to carry, like you mentioned, through the greatest security in the world, TSA. You know, I don't want to, like, in the back of my mind, be worried that I'm gonna lose it, be worried someone's gonna take it from the safe, and then also be thinking about where am I gonna do this, where I'm gonna propose. Chris, that's a lot of extra pressure and stress on you, and I feel like it's also a lot of extra pressure and stress on your fiance, where in the back of their mind, they're probably like, okay, we're on this trip. I know we went ring shopping. I know this thing is in the process at some point. Am I getting proposed to here? Should I have all my makeup and done at this point? Should I be ready for it here? Oh, this is beautiful. It's just, it adds so much. And Chris, I don't know how you did it. That would be stressful to me, definitely.
Yeah, I think there's definitely mental load on your partner. If you've gone ring shopping with them, I think then they know that they're somewhere in the near future. You may be proposing, and especially if you have a trip planned, that's going to be probably a big cue that the proposal is coming. So do be aware of that. One thing I would also note is don't do a fake proposal or try to be overly complicate the process. Maybe you have that kind of strong relationship and maybe that's part of it, but I think it's unfair, and to kind of like joke around with such an important moment, it's unfair to your partner. So I would say try to avoid doing that. Plan it out, do it right, but try not to joke around about it too much, I think.
Yeah, this is super serious, and that doesn't mean that the moment has to not be filled with like levity, but like it is a serious moment, you know. And this is also maybe a good time to mention, if you are planning on proposing, you should know the answer already. Do not propose if you don't think you're going to get a yes, because that just sounds absolutely devastating, and it also sounds like you're trying to force a relationship to work that isn't there yet.
That's great advice. Yeah, you should never propose to try to save your relationship or try to hold on to your partner. So make sure you're doing it out of love and for the right reasons.
Yeah, 100%. So Chris, after you got that yes, how great did you feel?
It was such a relief, not because I didn't know the answer, but because I didn't have to think about it too much anymore. You know, you're so nervous about it on this long hike. I'm not sure if I gave it away, but I was probably in my own head and not enjoying what was around us to the fullest extent, as I was just repeating what I wanted to say to her as we were going along, because I knew right as soon as we got to the beginning of the hike, like just how beautiful and the nature there was, and the trail. This was going to be the right moment. I just needed to find the right spot along the trail. You know, once we found it, we knew, but you know, it's a great relief once it's over. How did you feel?
Oh, I agree. And like honestly, you're telling me this, and I'm just imagining you're walking through, you know, and there's like a giant dragon like right next to you, and you're just not even noticing it
Yep.
because you're like rereading your speech in your head.
Yep.
And you're just like, okay, what do I do this? This is great. Okay. And like the whole world around you is happening and you're just not in it. That's just kind of what I'm envisioning right now.
Yeah, like, I had this thing practiced, I had written it down beforehand, and, I don't even remember saying it, like, I feel like I blacked out, so I'm glad we had someone to capture the moment, but, yeah, it feels like it's a blur right now in my mind, just because you're so nervous, you're so emotional, it means so much to both of you that, you know, there's just that flood of adrenaline, in that moment.
Yeah, and it's so exciting. And after you do it, after you get it done, it's just like, who do you share it with? You know, like how do you tell people? Do you do it immediately? Do you kind of filter it out? I know with me, after it happened, we spent maybe an hour trying to get the perfect selfie. Um, which it's very important,
I can
you know?
imagine that, I can see that.
It's very important. Yeah, try to get the perfect selfie, and because I wanted to send it to my parents, because for me, I had, and this is just general life advice. I know we talked about the ring; it takes 2 to 3 months to get it, but like I had a self-imposed deadline, and this stuff just takes longer than you think. Like I needed to be proposed, engaged by our trip. I had also planned like an engagement dinner between my family and hers, like the day before our trip. So like we need to be engaged. Otherwise there's no point in this dinner, you know? So like I had to tell my family, we had to tell her family, we had to take the picture. But after that, like I didn't really tell, I may have told like a couple close friends, but I didn't really tell anyone else. Um, I kind of think that's something that you shouldn't like force, just kind of, pick the best moment in time and just have her decide like what the best social media post for this is.
Yeah, my fiance's family was traveling with us to Asia, and they're not with us on at this particular moment when I proposed. So it was easy to share the news with her immediate family. Mine was, you know, roughly 12 hours time difference, and so we had to wait. So we didn't post anything on social media until we obviously had the conversations with a lot of my immediate family and phone calls and, you know, tears of happiness and smiles and congratulations before we made it public to any of our friends or shared it on social media.
Yeah, and after that's done, after you've upgraded to fiance, it feels so good. It's fun to
Yes.
share with people, like the people you
Yes.
love. They're gonna be so happy for you. Um, did you guys did you do anything to celebrate? Did you have any like dinners planned? What did you do afterwards?
Yeah, so we were staying at this five-star resort in the middle of this canyon, and so we celebrated by, you know, being on the rooftop pool in the hot tub, popping some bubbly, and having some adult beverages, and had a great meal. And we were just, you know, in the middle of this canyon, surrounded by all this greenery in another country, and it was perfect. You know, warm and just a great night.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful. That's what you want. Just enjoy the moment. Um, but actually, Chris, taking a step back, we didn't talk about this. Did you have to ask permission or maybe blessings from her parents? Is this something that you encountered?
Yeah, I think this is probably maybe a sensitive topic for a lot of people. So yeah, I think it was important in my fiance's culture and in her in just general respect to go to the parents and ask for their blessing. We weren't asking for permission, but we were asking for their blessing um, of our partnership. And so I made that trip out very nervous, even though I've known them for a long time. But when you have that conversation, it's a little bit different. And thankfully, it went well. Um, and it was important for me because it is a sign of respect to include them in this decision and what we're going to do. So yeah, I'm very happy and glad that we did that, and I would recommend to do that.
Yeah, this is something that brings families together. So I definitely think you need to have the talk with you know your future fiance's parents. And I know personally, I didn't asking for permission does sound a little, I don't know what's the word. It's maybe like old school, right?
Hmm.
Blessings, I think, is
Hmm.
a better way to think about it. But either way, you do want to keep, like her parents in the loop. Let them know, like, hey, this is happening. This is what I'm gonna be doing. I love your daughter. Like, I see this as my future. Like, let her parents know. There's there's no harm in that. There's no reason not to, especially if like her parents are important to her. And I know,
Hmm.
like I said, like I was planning a dinner, so I had to also kind of figure out what her parents' schedule are and see if like it made sense, like if it's possible to even happen. So I kind of had to like talk to them, be like, "Hey, this is what I'm planning. I know you're going to be in town. Can you be in town one day longer so that we can like have this happen?" And just like having her parents there, like did mean a lot to her. Like it was a better day for her because of that. So definitely, like whatever you can do to make the day better, do it. You're bringing the families together. It's just a nice moment.
Yeah, and everyone's family situation is different. So certain people might not be in their lives. So you can involve whoever you think is important, and maybe there's a best friend, right, that
Hmm.
is closer than family to them, and maybe you could talk to them and share those similar sentiments with them ahead of time. And again, it might just be a sign that you're serious and that you want to take the next step with your partner to involve the most important people in their lives before you propose.
Yeah, yeah. Bring people in. This is a happy moment. Share it with the people that are most important to you. And then
Just make sure they can keep a secret, because if you're doing this, and you have the exact plan set in stone, and you share that with them, make sure they don't spill the beans ahead of time.
yeah, share it with who you trust, or if it's something you want to kind of like sprinkle out there, maybe share it with who you know is going to talk. Just it all comes down to what you're trying to get from it. But no, proposal's great. Once you get that yes, like, oh my god, Chris, I know you felt the relief, I felt the relief. We could go on our trip and just like
You
a
could
mini
relax.
a mini honeymoon almost. Like, hey, we're
Yeah.
engaged, it's exciting. You can take pictures together, you can like just enjoy life. And I know you guys were able to enjoy the rest of your trip. Like
Hmm.
all of a sudden, an engaged couple. It's like it's
Exactly.
it's different. It's more serious. It's more like the future is more obvious where it is now versus when you're just like when you're dating. Like your dating can go any one of a million directions. But oh man, you're engaged. That's like no, you're getting married. Like this is legit. It's definitely more legit than it was before. So definitely enjoy that. It's definitely fun.
Yeah, and one thing I want to talk about too, and then before I get into the topic, I kind of just came to this realization, but uh, we are getting married in the United States, but I proposed overseas. You proposed in the United States, and you're getting married overseas, so it's kind of a weird juxtaposition there.
Yeah, it's funny how that stuff happens.
I just realized that. One thing I want to talk about is capturing the moment.
Mm,
I think, again, depending on your situation and your relationship, the general rule is try to find some way to capture that moment. I had discussions with my fiance ahead of time, and I think that it would be nice, but it was never like a deal breaker or like it had to happen. And so that's why I also felt comfortable doing it where I did it, because I felt comfortable that it was going to be a private moment with just us. And no matter what, no one could take that away from us, even if we didn't capture it, in video or with a photograph. Thankfully, though, on that hike, there was an English speaking family right behind us that we summited together and were able to capture the moment once I did propose at the summit. So we got lucky there. Um, but, I think try to incorporate that into your plans, whether it's a photographer or involving family or friends. Just try to find someone to capture the moment, because I think in general, you will try to want to look back on that moment. And I know you have some thoughts on that too.
yeah, so the, like the one regret I have, maybe regret's a strong word, but I wish I had
Something
captured.
you've done differently.
Yeah, something that I think I should have put more thought in is how to capture the moment. I don't need like a full video. I don't need like a million pictures. I just want one good picture. And the nature of where I proposed, which was like at home in a private setting, made that difficult. And I wish I had thought about a way to do it. Because in the moment, there may be like some things you're not thinking about, you know? And like you said, you could talk about, oh, yeah, this would be nice to have, like this isn't needed, but like I wouldn't say no,? But then after the moment's done, you're like, oh, crap, hold up. No, I do want this. So I kind of wish I'd find a way to just capture just like one good picture, like that's all I want, just one good
Mhm.
picture. So no matter how you want to capture it, maybe it's a video, maybe it's pictures, I don't know. I think everyone should maybe put more thought than they think they need into how to capture it. Because it's just something that it's gonna be fun to look back on.
Definitely.
Oh man, but yeah, now we're engaged. Now we're sitting good. We got the yes. We didn't get the forced yes. We got the fully on board, totally in love yes, ready to spend the rest of your life together. But Chris, it does not stop here, does it? There's so much to do. Now is when the real wedding planning honestly starts.
Yeah, buckle up, everybody. Now it starts to get real. So the best advice I can give you is that you got to think about timelines. I know no one likes to think about timelines, but there are now planning starts getting really real after you propose. Give yourself time, right? Try to incorporate a little us time into your plans and in your timeline. Enjoy being engaged. Enjoy the bliss of not having to wedding plan or think about that budget. Live in blissful ignorance for just at least a little bit before you start digging in. And just live in the glow of being engaged.
Chris, I don't know about you, but I would hear like when I was younger, people that would have, year and a half, 2 year engagements. And I was like, why are you guys engaged so long? Like, what's the point? You're engaged. Just hurry up and get married. But now that I'm in the thick of wedding planning, just even 3 months, right, of just being an engaged couple that isn't constantly having to make a decision and you could just enjoy each other's company just sounds fantastic. Like your wedding planning will take you a long time. You will be engaged a while just due to the nature of how long the wedding planning comes. And because you
Mhm.
are wedding planning, it will be stressful. But like before that, like Chris said, yeah, enjoy it. We were lucky to go on a trip as engaged. We could enjoy it. Chris, you were lucky to already be on a trip, so you could enjoy the back
Mhm.
half of it as an engaged couple. So after you're engaged, don't just start wedding planning like pedal to the metal. Give yourself like a month or two to just kind of like enjoy the engagement, enjoy each other's company, enjoy being an engaged couple.
Yeah, you're gonna very quickly, once you start wedding planning, get decision fatigue. I've realized how many small decisions you have to make when you're wedding planning, and I'm going to tell you now. I'll say it again. Just enjoy that month or two. Don't look at any wedding plannings. Don't look at any venues yet. Just enjoy being with each other as fiancés.
Wait, Chris, you mean you don't like deciding between salmon or pink napkins?
Yeah, the most recent decision we had to make was how to fold our napkins at the wedding. So whether we want waterfall or pocket or a number of 20 different choices, which I never knew was a thing. So there you go.
Yeah, so there's a lot to decide. For now, uh enjoy it. You're engaged. It's a beautiful time, share it with people, let people be happy for you, be happy for each other, and just enjoy the moments, make small moments cuz in for the next year, you will be making nonstop stressful decisions.
Pop that bubbly, and I think on our next episode, we're going to start digging into the actual wedding prepping and planning phase. So I hope you'll join us on that episode.
Perfect. Chris, well said. And with that, thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you again soon. Chris, I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, everybody.